Oh, we are live.
Hey.
The BGW boys are back in the building.
Yeah, just a little hiatus, just a little one, bro.
Hey, things had to get taken care of. Feelings had to get, you know what I mean, put together. You know what I mean? Like tricks had to go into effect. But hey,
Brother, we did.
we back up, man. We back up. The Peninsula boys, the Peninsula Heat. We starting off the team well. You know what I mean? I'm letting I don't know if you noticed, I'm letting people come in because we dropping something new tonight, right? With the watch list. So I'm gonna let people come in a little bit.
Oh no, absolutely. I completely get it because that joint is fire.
Yes. But for those for those that don't know what you're tapped into the watch list, the premier, in my opinion, the premier ratings podcast in the game, in the land. You know what I mean? Only done
Come
by
have fun, bro.
Hey, so I'm glad that we're waiting a little bit because I do have a public announcement, or yes, like a PSA because it was brought to my attention in gauging people, coming on the show. And it was alluded to, not directly said, but alluded to. How can we talk about any type of match structure when we are not workers?
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I would like to be the first to say you are absolutely right. Nobody on this podcast is a professional wrestler.
By no means.
Yes.
Don't pretend to be. Don't do nothing like that.
Never. All we're doing is just talking about the greps. You know what I mean? What goes on in those rings? Because, like I said, it's part of the match structure that builds into our fandom. You know what I mean? So, like, we are not in any way saying our opinion is better than XYZ, but there are people that get paid millions of dollars to talk about football, basketball, baseball, and you've never even played.
Hey, man. Sip.
So that's all I want to say. That's all
absolutely.
I want to say.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
Hey, I appreciate their opinion of what they had to say.
I did
also. Oh, you didn't let me finish, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't give a fuck. As simple as that, man.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's whatever. It is okay, man. You don't have to watch it.
No, and obviously, we would love anybody to come on. We're not talking about like for people that says their profession. Obviously, we want you to come in and talk about, but this ultimately is talking about what makes you a wrestling fan, what gravitates you to watching it. So it's nothing, like I said, we're just talking. That's all it is. If you have a problem, maybe this is not the podcast for you.
Just don't watch.
Don't watch. But you know what you can watch? This new intro.
Hey.
Why does it matter to me? It's in my veins, baby. It's in my blood. You understand? Since kindergarten, since I was about this high, I've been watching wrestling.
Watch this. This ain't the pod for the gossip kid. BGW watch list. Black guys, civilized them 85s. Acknowledge the nerd that knows with the vibes. If you catch my live, Scotland goes live. Nolo goes bell to bell. 5 leaf for the leave it off the list of them holy grails. Speak raps with Chaz and DMac. 3 count on DMac. Telling pause to relax. Watch this. The watch list. Black guy. Watch this, the watch list. Black guy.
Where are my flex bombs, bro? Oh.
That boy A.O. That boy
man, shout out to A.O.
Yes.
Oh man. Shout out to Chaz too for the visuals.
Yes, you just tapped into the new intro for the watch list. Vocals done by our brother A.O. One love to the guy with the Ringside Club. We appreciate you dearly. And of course, the visionary Chaz putting it together. Yes, the Ringside Club Cup in effect. But yes, you were tapped into the watch list. Like I said on the show, the vibes. Absolutely. Coming in first, I'm taking my moniker back. The Professor, Scotland Underwood.
We love it.
Yes.
We love it. Coming in second, maybe last, who knows? It is Solo Nolo Green.
Yes. Oh snap! Zach just came in.
Shout out to Zach, man. He said, "What's good, bro?"
Hold on.
He heard you call yourself to the Professor again. You straight, bro? You do your thing.
Hold on.
Hey, man, it's all good. Zach said, "What's up?" He wanted to say hi.
That's how you do live television.
Hey, man, he was like his dad out here talking about being a professor again. He had to come see what the vibes were.
He had to come see what the vibes was, man. But yeah, shout out to Chaz, DMac. Maybe Chaz will be here. Don't know.
Yeah.
DMac. He's on assignment right now, so he's not going to tap in. But this week, figured, like we said at the beginning of the show, we're back from a little hiatus, back on the block. This week there is no co-host. We are the co-host. You know what I mean? So I think that might be the thing going forward. At the end of the month, it will be our pick.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so no guess.
So one of us has to pick one.
Yes. And what better way to start that tradition off than with your pick, Solo Nolo Green? And
thank you.
You picked a banger. You picked an absolute classic. We are talking about WarGames Fall Brawl 1997, the Four Horsemen versus the NWO. And as you know, I gotta ask you the questions. You're being asked the questions tonight, my man.
I'm here.
Why this match?
Why this match? Okay.
Why this?
First of all, if you ever heard me talking on the pod and you talked about me and then talked about myself as like a child, I was one of the biggest NWO fans. They were my guys. I was rocking with NWO all the way to the point that I was hating on Sting. I was hating on everyone WCW related got hated on, and it didn't matter because I was rocking with my boys, the Outsiders, Bagwell. Sadly, the dude that we hate now, but at the time I loved.
I will say at what the key of this part is, like we're separating a lot of biases from, you know what I mean, our traditional how we typically talk about wrestling. Make no mistake about it. 1997, there was no better heel than Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? So I fully understand. How old were you when this match
9
occurred? You were a young boy.
I was 9, bro. 9 years old.
What?
And I couldn't watch the. I didn't have. What was it? I watched this where I actually got to watch the match. I watched it probably. I watched it the next day because I had a cool neighbor who would record the pay-per-view for me on VHS and then give it to me, and I watch it then. But what I heard what happened, because back then you could like go to the channel, it was like 99, and then you just saw the squiggly lines, but you could hear everything. The class, yes. Hey man, hey, you just had to use your imagination back then.
Look, you if you don't remember pay-per-view nights and you're watching it and you don't have the ability to order it, so you just listen to it, that shit made like that built character, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like that built such character. I remember I didn't watch the pay-per-view live or even hear it. I just remember the night after, and which we'll get into why, but it opened up with Ric Flair like on a gurney, and like the camera is slow panning, but obviously we gotta figure out why we got there. Let's talk about the current state, 1997, fall of 1997, and where
he was in the dirt.
Who was?
WCW.
No, WCW was up at this time.
No. I meant as in like in the war with NWO.
Oh, WCW sucked. They were that was not a winning team.
No. They one of the biggest problems that they probably did was making the NWO too strong, because Why would you cheer for the losers?
Yeah. So obviously, history. When this part of the segment, the NWO. Everybody knows by this point the story of the NWO formed. Summer of 1996. Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, both fresh off WWF runs, historic WWF runs, and that parlayed into an historic storyline for WCW, which led to the now infamous 83 weeks where they beat where WCW beat WWE, then WWF, 83 weeks in a row, and
I didn't say not WCW as in like the company, just as in the storyline Hearts, as in they were getting beat up tremendously down bad to the NWO.
Although I do think that is poetic. That's when Hearts came in. You know what I mean?
I think it's hilarious, personally.
One love to our sister Hearts, man. Appreciate you tapping in. But yeah, WCW at this time, 1997. Let's make no mistake about it. WWF, while they win the ratings,
I ain't do nothing.
Hey, this isn't the Volumes podcast, so I can't. I'm on your side, bro.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm on your side.
We only ops on Sundays.
Yeah, just on Sundays. But make no mistakes, September 1997, while WWF had not won any of the ratings at this point, and they wouldn't win it until April of 98, WWF was starting to get to that bubbling point. You know what I mean? Like, I think where this pay-per-view is, well, I can't remember the exact date, but it was either the night after or the week before. Oh, it's Chaz.
Hey, look, our guy.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Peace.
But like I said, at this point, it was either the night before, or the week after. It was the famous WWF Madison Square Garden Raw's War. Stone Cold stuns Vince McMahon for the first time. So everything was starting to cook a little bit, but WCW was just red hot. The Sting storyline was incredible. We're building the Starrcade 1997, but obviously you have to pivot. You know what I mean? Like, if Starrcade is in December, you got to fill this time, and WarGames being the perfect match for this particular feud, in particularly NWO versus the Four Horsemen. First, Chaz, were you watching wrestling back in 1997?
Yes, but not WCW. I was on early WWE, so I didn't get a chance to, like I told you before, I didn't really get a chance to dig into the late archives, which I wish I would have, of WCW. I came in, I started watching around the time when they were close to going out of business. But I do remember when I did get into WCW, I would always go back between Raw and Nitro, and then my bad, and then Thunder when I would catch it. So I do remember vaguely, but not as much as I was watching WWE.
Fair. And I just go back to what Hart's put on the comments. You might be shocked by this, but I always felt WWF was a better product during the whole 83 weeks. Very shocked, but
I'm shocked.
I absolutely agree.
Wow, the WCW flag bearer. Yeah,
I know, bro.
Damn.
No. So, but here's the thing we gotta look at from this time period. Legit, I think 1997 is the best year. If not, if it's in the top three, but I think 1997 is the absolute best year from an American standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was cooking. But WWF particular, especially when we got after WrestleMania 13, like, we've now introduced like the big Titantron. You're getting the Attitude Era feel. You had another historic storyline taking place. The Hart Foundation, Stone Cold Steve Austin were a few months away from Montreal. From a standpoint of a story being told from start to finish, absolutely, WWF had the better product. WCW, and the thing I hate about the way people talk about WCW of this time, especially people in like WWE documentaries. Like I said, there's this new Vice documentary about who killed WCW.
No.
Make no mistake about it. WCW at the time, from bell to bell, especially the opening matches, the mid card, tremendous. Like they had the best roster, I think. Like we're talking like
if he was there for Graps, that's the one.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's the thing I missed the most, man. Just seeing how many grapplers at that, like you said, that time, the mid card alone was just stacked. And I'm like, God, I wish I could have been around to really appreciate it then, because it's amazing to see what was really cooking down there and around that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the participants of this match, first you have the Four Horsemen, which of this match, Ric Flair, Steve Mongo McMichael, Chris Benoit, and Kurt Hennig. Let's pause. Let's pause right there because we talked about it off air, and we just wanted to make note. By no means of doing the watch list, we are just observing pro wrestling bell to bell. We are not in any way at all endorsing anything of Chris Benoit. We are not agreeing with what he done. You know what I mean? We like, I'm a father. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we just you know the vibes. With that being said, if my brother, Ayo, we tapped into the itch. Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yeah,
Ayo with the vocals.
But yeah, like if somebody brings us a Chris Benoit match to the forefront of the watch list, we will assess it. If it's not right in the cards, we will not do it. But in this case, he is like a bit player in the overall totality of this match. Would we agree?
Yeah.
And
shout out to you for, shout out to y'all for saying it, because that was my concern too. I didn't know how it was going to be preference, but that was well said.
Thank you. So this is 1997 Horseman. For anybody that knows me, knows that I think the Four Horsemen is the most overrated stable in professional wrestling. You know what I mean? And before anybody says it, thanks, bro. Appreciate you, man. The vocals are in. Before anybody says it, I have watched a lot of wrestling in my day. I've watched a lot of 80s wrestling. Shout out to the Horsemen of the era, because they were very important. But we're not talking about the 80s. We are talking about the late 97, and these niggas sucked. Trash.
Yeah.
Thank you. A bit of grace can be provided
for this person. Absolutely.
Thank you. Absolutely. Like I said, yes, thank you. Like I said, at this point, the Horsemen sucked. Everything they did, trash, boring. They were not destination television in for a young 7-year-old. What they were a channel changer.
They were punching bags. That's what I liked about them.
Ass whooping every week.
Actually, you know what? I take that back, because there was one person in the Four Horsemen I liked.
Mongo.
And his name. There's two people in the Four Horsemen I like. His name is Dean Malenko. That was my man.
Shout out to
Love.
When Dean got to be in there, I messed with Dean. That was my guy.
Yeah. Texas Cloverleaf, you know what I'm saying?
But like I said, he won't even, Dean was doing his own thing at this time. At this time,
he wasn't there yet.
At this time, the standout of the Horsemen was Benoit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Benoit was looked upon at the time as like pound for pound, the best wrestler in the world, arguably. Then you had Steve Mongo McMichael. You know what I mean? Who in my opinion, the greatest Horseman of all time. My man was hilarious.
Hey, he played his part the best as he could, and I loved every minute of it.
He did.
Yes. Ric Flair. A lot can be said about Ric Flair, but the one thing I will never take away is Ric Flair was damn over still in 1997. People loved Ric Flair, which made the ending of this match. It had to be Flair at the end of this match. You see what it is. And I brought up Kurt Hennig. At this point, Kurt Hennig had just jumped shipped over from WWF to WCW. He was kind of doing this thing where
he didn't know if he wanted to be a Horseman or not. He turned him down a lot.
A lot. I would do the same thing. I would do this. I would do the same thing. But the only reason why Curt Hennig was in this match is because Arn Anderson. Earlier in 1997, neck injury or an existing neck injury got got hampered up again, which led to Arn Anderson retiring. And for the first time on the watch list, we have a clip.
Oh, that comb over was terrible.
Okay, now.
Yes, we're upgrading.
We are moving up in the world.
Levels.
All right, now. If you watch the whole promo, and then immediately afterwards, you will hear Tony Schiavone basically talking about how this is one of the most emotional moments in WCW history and how important and pivotal it was. But sadly, he was wrong, because a week later was one of the best promos ever that ever exists.
And oh my god, that was
Conan didn't say a word that entire time.
No,
he didn't need to.
There was no need.
He just sat there, just chilling.
Real quick, to answer AO's question, at this time, 97, this was Purple Trunks Malenko. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this was pre-Horseman. He didn't join the Horseman until 2 years later.
He wrestled on this card.
He did. The NWO contingent of this WarGames match, Kevin Nash, obviously, no need to speak about him, recently joined Conan, who Conan at this point he's got the flannel, he's got the hat, you know what I mean? We are seeing the beginning stages of K-Dog, you know what I mean? Which I know, Nolo, you have a special place in your heart for Conan.
Yes, because I was Conan for Halloween one year. I thought it was hilarious.
Word.
Great. There's a picture of me, and I had a friend who was Sting, and he was Wolfpack Sting.
It won't Nick.
Those are the days.
Nah, I'm just.
It won't be, man.
I ain't know Nicholas back then.
Yeah, I thought Nick was Highlander going through time and shit.
Oh, trust and believe. The 90s was Sting cosplay all Halloween.
Oh yeah, I can see it for sure.
Without question. So Conan, Buff Bagwell, who Bagwell was starting to, Bagwell was one of those guys, like he was always in a tag team, always on television, but the Buff Bagwell gimmick was like his launching pad too, and he was phenomenal in the role, you know what I mean? Yeah. And as you saw playing the Ric Flair was Six, better known as Sean Waltman, X-Pac. Yeah, so from both standpoints, you know what I mean? We'll start with you, Nolo. So Nolo, starting with you, bro. And like I said, more so like from watching it of your eyes today, what made, like, you see that retirement speech of Arn Anderson, which was a great moment in itself, you know what I mean? We joke, but Arn Anderson, phenomenal wrestler. But what made the NWO parody, because it drew a lot of, like, it built hate to the match, a lot of hate. What was it about?
Big mad.
What was it about that particular parody, do you think, made it more personal from a fan's perspective?
Well, like you said earlier, this was back when, like, the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair especially, was like over, and they happened to be in Flair country doing these things, and only to just have the NWO, who's probably the hottest act in wrestling, come out and then disrespect a powerful moment done by them, where you got to see like the passing of the torch. Well, you take my spot, and I got a dog name Spot.
Yeah.
Dog name.
Shoot, didn't they call him Arn in the FBI? I wouldn't be surprised. I know he just called him a drunk a lot.
Was it FBI or CIA? It was something like that.
It was one of the two. It was one of them. He was a Fed. That's definitely what he called him. I think also when you look at like both promos in itself, like a person I wanted to shout out in particular is Tony Schiavone, because Tony in the weeks building up to this match, like Tony grew up literally as a commentator with the Horsemen. So from this standpoint of WCW versus NWO, obviously his allegiance is very WCW and it is very Ric Flair, Arn Anderson.
13 years at the time.
He
said he met him 13 years ago.
About to say, wasn't he around before, with the original one, or was that somebody else?
Oh yeah. Oh no, he was.
Okay, yeah. I thought so because I remember watching old Ric Flair promos. And like, Tony Schiavone, and I thought maybe some. All right, bet.
And like I said, like Nolo was alluding to, like that whole Horseman country, that shit was real. Like I said, we live in Virginia, so being from Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, you do not speak ill of the Four Horsemen, especially back in those days.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They still got shooters out here to this day.
I can believe
it. I was at a bar on St. Patrick's Day, and a black man, mind you. Okay, we was talking. We was talking about wrestling, and then he was talking about how much he loved the Four Horsemen. And like he was just saying, like, because he asked me like who was like one of my favorite like factions, and I said the New Day, and then he was like the Four Horsemen, and he said it was the best faction ever, and I said, huh? Like, ever? Like you ain't got nobody else to name? Nobody.
Well, it's because you know Ball. It's because you know Ball, but there's a conversation to be had, especially in this region in the South, about like what pro wrestling meant to people, right? So obviously, and like I said, you can see it from all facets of life, whether they are you know what I mean, like our dads, uncles, you know what I mean, older co-workers. Like pro wrestling was life. Saturday night, 6:05, like that was destination television, you know what I mean? Especially during the time where like wrestling wasn't as accessible, you know what I mean? You'd be maybe lucky to see WWF in the 80s if you were in the South. You're lucky if you even caught anything else, but Dusty Rhodes was the hero. Magnum TA was the hero. The Horsemen were the villains, you know what I mean? It's what you grew up on. But like I said, from a 1997 perspective, them days have like long gone, especially for a new generation. It's the best way I can break my comparison to the Horsemen is the Road Warriors. If you ask a lot of people who grew up in the 80s, the Road Warriors are the tag team, right? My introduction to the Road Warriors was them getting beat up by DX.
Damn.
That was my you know what I mean?
Damn.
Like I'm like, these dudes? What? You know what I mean?
That's tough.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Right.
Shooters to this day.
Right.
So I very much see this match as like generation versus generation, right? But the story is Arn Anderson has retired. He has given his spot, his coveted enforcer spot in the Horsemen, to Curt Hennig. And you know what I mean? Now we're going to the races. You know what I mean? We're working our way to Fall Brawl. At the time, our opinions of Curt Hennig, what was it?
He was Mr. Perfect.
That's how I saw him.
That's what I knew, man.
That's all I. Again,
who's this Curt?
That's all I knew.
Curt Hennig guy? Who's this Curt Hennig guy you keep talking about?
Hey,
I didn't know it was anything else.
Real quick, Mandela effect. I am 100% positive his name was spelled Henning back in the day. Bro, that's a Mandela. That's a wrestling Mandela effect for those that don't know.
Like when I look, like every time I used to put it in, I swear, like I used to do that, like back in the day, and spell it with two N's, and then all of a sudden I'm looking like, wait, did they drop it? And then I just never noticed.
That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Kurt Hennig at this time, Kurt had been through back surgery. I actually think prior to his WCW debut, he had not wrestled since the fall of '93. He was around, but like as far as like wrestling, so
he was like commentating and stuff, wasn't
he? Yeah. And I mean, like with any wrestler that's been through like a significant injury or a long layoff, like the brilliance is still there, but obviously it's a slowed down version. Right. I did think Kurt fit perfectly in the Horseman, but obviously that was not to be, right? Chaz, from your standpoint, before we get into the match, your opinion on the NWO, right? Because you hear a lot of people that talk about the NWO was oversaturated, XYZ, things that we've heard for
right
many years.
Right.
But for context purposes, where would you put the NWO as like for importance of the growth of pro wrestling?
That's a great question. I would, and just based off what I've seen, what I know now, I'm still learning, but based off how I came into the game and what I was kind of exposed to and how it was being talked about, I would definitely put them in a top 5 category. Just because of at one point in time, you couldn't really go anywhere within America without talking about something NWO did, right? It started so, it's not small, but just with like the main players with, Nash, Hall, Hogan, and slowly but surely it birthed into this national phenomenon where it was rivaling major stories. You know what I mean? Like at that time, wrestling was doing the thing. You had the Monday Night Wars, X, Y, and Z, but you couldn't really start a conversation without something Austin did, maybe something The Rock did, and something NWO did. And I had again, just me watching WWE. That's all I had knew about with what like WWE was NWO, Ric Flair, X, Y, and Z. I didn't know too much until I got later into the game. But just remembering, I would stay home, from school and the lineup, Ricky Lake, Jerry Springer, shit like that. But somehow, some way within those shows of them, whatever, I would always catch a commercial or hear my uncle talking about something NWO did. And I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Like, why they have such an impact? So when you're able to create a buzz to the casual fan that doesn't watch wrestling but knows about you and knows what you represent, that to me, that's game change, that's significance, that means you're drawing eyes to the product. And that's something NWO really, really did. Regardless if you thought it was oversaturated, regardless if you didn't think it was the best wrestling, regardless of what your feelings was, they were able to generate a lot of eyes for that time. You just look at case in point, this was in Jordan's supposedly supposed to be final run. And again, the country was talking about Jordan, but somehow, some way, Robin found his way to the graps and was wrestling fucking what's her name? The pedophile, Karl Malone. So it is what it is. So yeah, man. To me, I just don't. Everything I said, I don't know how you not put them in a top 10 or top 5. If we're just talking about factions that had a significant impact, not just in wrestling, but in pop culture.
I mean, if you think about it, 1997.
My bad. Yeah. My bad. You just got to be honest. I don't ever want to associate Karl Malone and not put that out there.
Certified level 4, certified pedophile. Yeah. If you look at 1997, like if you look at every WCW pay-per-view 1997, it was WCW versus NWO, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it was Hogan, whether it was Savage, whether it was Hall and Nash and Six, like the NWO just had that footprint. Like I said, the impact of the NWO is very much felt in today. You know what I mean? Like they weren't the first cool heels, but I do think they were absolutely the most influential. Look at the logo. BGW logo. Like that is
exactly,
and that is the NWO logo.
Great
like,
fucking point. Great point.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like when people used
it's
to
the first piece of merch we did.
When people used to say Bullet Club, or when people say Bullet Club is the most influential staple, where do you think they got the shit from? Where do you think this comes from? You know what I mean? And like I said, the Bullet Club, without a question, influential of the 2010s, 2020s. But that doesn't happen if there's no NWO. And right. You can make the argument the NWO does not happen without the Four Horsemen, right? So it all ties in. Nolo, I know you are a big NWO fan, yes. Especially at this time. But do you think at this time, like from watching into where it was going, do you think by this point the NWO have become too much? Like, did they have too many members? Or do you think that's just one of those things that people throw out, not even realizing like they were still the top merch sellers? They were still in the highest rated segments. They were still like the NWO with 3 or 20 was still the group.
Like, I look at it this way. If you want to go throw dirt on them and say that they're oversaturated, my biggest critique on the NWO storyline wise is that they won a lot and kind of made WCW like the little brother. That's my only big critique about it. Other than that, I was fine with them getting as many members as they did. Now, if we're incorporating like when they did like the breakup, like the Wolfpack, and then NWO 2000 and everything like that is encompassing everything, then yeah, they made a little wildness with it. But if you just mean like from where it is at this exact moment in time in 1997, then I was good with it. Like I thought this was perfectly fine, nothing. And they always had the upper hand with everything that they did. There was very few occurrences where WCW came out on top of them.
I before you answer, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chaz.
No,
but, I always looked at the NWO like the constant winning stuff like that. I thought in like the hindsight, it was designed and it should have been designed that when the moment came and Sting beats Hulk Hogan, like it was worth it. You know what I mean? Like, because I've always treated Sting, it was Sting and there's like a long gap and then WCW that took down the NWO, right?
It's the truth.
Yeah. WCW did nothing.
Yeah,
they did nothing.
That man Sting was for a while there. Sting was the only one getting hits on him.
That's true.
Let me tell you a typical Monday night ending. DDP getting jumped.
Lex Luger
getting jumped. The Giant getting jumped. Who comes to save their asses every time?
It's
every time, dog. Every time. I miss my guy on TV.
Yeah.
But
I know you do, man.
Anyway,
it's okay. But I say all that to say that I think by design it was done to, like, when the moment came and the NWO fell, it was a big moment. Shoot, if for those who remember, like I said, because it was in this time frame, you already know. You already know. You know, I'll stop everything I'm doing for Sting. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shit. I might change this match midway. We might talk about
Starcade 97.
Which is a match we should cover at one point.
Oh, buddy, you gonna make me watch that again?
Oh my god.
It's been a while since I watched that. Like, it might at least be 10 years.
I think I watched it back in March. Nasty business. But if y'all remember at the time, I think it was just a month, Lex Luger had beat Hulk Hogan, an iconic Nitro moment of him winning the world title. You know what I mean? It was a shock win. Luger lost it 7 days later. No worries. And even in this match, you hear the crowd chanting, "We want Sting." Nothing had happened yet. People were just chanting, "We want Sting," right? But I also think when it comes to the way people talk about the NWO and that they should have stayed Hogan, Hall, and Nash, that wasn't the point. You know what I mean? Like, if you've ever heard Bischoff or what the original plans for the NWO was to be, it was supposed to be like WCW on one show, the NWO eventually to get their own show. That's why at this time they were starting to, I think they would introduce it a few months later, pay-per-views were promoted as WCW NWO, right?
Right.
So obviously it was to build to a bigger picture. I think with every great storyline like that, the end point just wasn't figured out. And if the end point was figured out, they altered it to cash out a little bit more on the popularity of the NWO. That's why you got the splinter groups.
Because they was making money.
And that's what I was going to ask. Like, what? So you felt like it probably should have wrapped up after Sting won the title. Starrcade
'97 should have been the beginning to the end. It should have been wrapped up by the summer.
And both y'all can answer. If it had just went to the splinter with the Wolfpack and then maybe wrap it up with that, would that had been a more, not more, but I guess a good way to tie a knot, or you still feel like probably just wrapped it up at Starrcade '97? Like, do you have like a big pay-per-view was like NWO versus Bloodline, winner takes all, X, Y, and Z, and then wrap it up there? Or do you feel like you said, just Starrcade should have been the start of the end?
Bischoff said he didn't know where the NWO was going to go. He was riding the money wave all until the wheels fall off, which very understandable. You know what I mean? Like, where you're in the midst of a legit war. So, like,
don't blame him at all.
Yeah, not at all. Like I said, we, you know me, as wrestling fans, we armchair quarterback about what we would have done, how like XYZ would have happened. Like I said, the ideal way of going about it and is Sting winning the world title. That creates the dissension of the NWO, right? Even into the summer of '98, when you get to the splinter groups, and I know we're going off of course with the before we get to the match, but this is just to tie in where everything was at this time. Even if you don't finish the NWO storyline at Starrcade '97, it should have been finished with Goldberg, right?
Yeah.
That you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't going to be, if it wasn't going to be Sting, it would have been.
You talking about when Goldberg beat Hogan, right?
Yeah.
That should have been it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that we can talk and debate about, and maybe, you know what I mean, that's something we can discuss at a later date. But
that was gonna be my second choice, only because it's a sentimental moment more than anything. Not even like, because I really don't care about the match there, but
I know you talked about it. Yeah, I know you talked about it. Yeah, well, look, one day, hopefully, next turnaround on the watch list when it's your go, that could possibly be the match. But let's bring it back. Fall Brawl 1997. Like I said, Winston-Salem, South Carolina. The main event. Here we are. Obviously, as you know how we get down, talk about this match. I have a little bit of notes here that I definitely took from somebody else. So shout out to TJR Wrestling.
Before we got to talk before the match though.
Yes.
Because during the pay-per-view, the NWO jumps Kurt Hennig.
And you know, I was gonna say at this point, you don't even bat an eye. They do this shit all the time.
They do. We thought, we was like, dang, what happened? This man is gone. Another thing we can shout out to the commentary crew. They was out here upset.
Devastated. They
did it to us again.
The one thing about the commentary team at WCW, they legit made it feel like these were murderers. Like the NWO was gonna take everything from them, their livelihood, all that. Obviously the WarGames match in itself, something that we can talk about in great detail, but the WarGames match is an historic concept from the mind of Dusty Rhodes. 2 rings, 2 cages. Unlike the WWE version, the cage is enclosed. So Like nobody's going to the top rope. That cage is steel shut, which is my favorite incarnation of the War Games. You know what I mean?
Because it's the best one.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. The WWE one you can like more possibilities, I guess, but nothing beats throwing a dude up into the roof of the cage, the ceiling of the cage.
That's what I'm saying. War Games is like the design. I very much agree with the Vince McMahon killed the cage match gimmick. You know what I mean? Like a cage match is supposed to be violent. We're not supposed to be escaping the cage. I am beating your ass from pillar to post, right? War Games is the same way. It's supposed to be the level of brutality. Can't be the level of brutality in this era because of the way Turner standard and practices was. So like there was no blood, anything like that. But like I said, just the overall WCW War Games classic. You can't beat it. We have probably in some of his easiest paychecks, Michael Buffer. You know what I mean? Give it that big fight feel.
My man came for what? He had to stay there for the beginning of the main event until the end, and that was it.
I used to get so mad because I used to think Michael Buffer's intros took forever. And I'm like, yo, I want to cook. Let's what are we doing?
Oh, you just want to get
I was ready to get it going. You know what I mean? Throw
you.
that shit to Dave Prenzer, man. Let him do his work. But the opening match or the opening portion of War Games, for those that don't know the rules, please go look it up because I'm not going to explain it here. But it is done by period base. You know what I mean? The match starts out 2 men. They go for 5 minutes. A coin toss takes place. From that coin toss, whoever wins the coin toss gets the advantage, and that rotates back and forth until all men are in the ring.
2 minute intervals.
2 minute intervals, and the thing I love about back then was the emphasis that when the last man enters, it is the match beyond.
War Games has begun.
Love that shit, dog. I love it. We start out with Buff Bagwell, Chris Benoit. They start in the cage. Bagwell hitting the posing, and then Benoit just starts beating the shit out of him
for a good 2.5 minutes of just getting his ass whooped.
Do you like looking at the match? Would you consider? I consider Benoit to be the MVP of this match. I thought
without question, got it.
I think Benoit was very much like he probably looked at this as like a like this is the moment you're in there with some heavy players. So you got to bring it. You know what I mean? He hits some shots to the head, sends him face first into the cage, clothesline, hits him with a mean Carmelo Hayes like slap to the back of the head.
Yep.
You know what I mean? My favorite aspect of this podcast is talking about the opening parts of a match. This being the first type of cage match we've done. You know what I mean? Your structure of how a cage match is supposed to be, do you go straight into the violence? Is it the same thing as a regular match? Do you want to see it be built up?
And it's something like this, you gotta I can understand where, just from a strategy standpoint, you are the first two in. You are gonna be in there the entire time. So you might not want to gas out. Chris Benoit didn't care about that. No. Not even a bit.
No.
He started whooping him the moment that he could.
And to the credit of the crowd, they were going crazy for it. They loved every bit of this ass whooping. And Buff Bagwell was the perfect person because, like I said, Bagwell was such a very irritating heel. So his comments into the camera just randomly.
That shit was gold. That shit was top tier. That shit was top tier, man.
Hey, look, man, Bagwell got it, man, at this time. Like I said, they're going through the back and forth. Obviously, you hit about that 3 minute mark in the timeline, but you see in the background as the match is going on, the coin toss taking place. And me and Nolo were talking about this prior because they don't do it in today's War Games. Today's War Games is decided through a match who has the advantage. War Games of yesteryear, nigga, you did it a coin flip.
Also, another underrated thing that they should bring back is having the teams outside the cage.
So
Don't have them.
underrated.
Yeah.
Wait, yo, we don't need to have them in their little box.
Yeah.
Even though when Dakota Kai turned, it was a great moment. It was dope, but it's so much better with the teams outside, like on each side of the cage, they're interacting with everyone and everything. Man,
It's the people
just
going.
so much better.
Hey, one of my favorite things from the year prior, the 96 WarGames, that it was such a small attention to detail, but I loved it because they were coming out through the entrance. And I think the commentator team said the reason why they were coming out through the entrance is because the hostility between WCW and the NWO was so high, they had to be kept in their locker rooms until they were called, which I just love that detail. In this case, I very much agree. Having them outside the cage adds like an element, like this is urgent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love when the countdown starts to happen and it's like you see the person just like they want to get in the cage, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Very, very underrated aspect. You know what I mean? It's the little things. Oh, my man Corey, what's up with you, boy? That's what I miss. It's an added sense of collaboration despite not being able to help their teammate in a war game. Very underrated aspect. Benoit, once again, just whoops his ass for 5 minutes straight. The coin toss happens. The NWO wins. A trope in pro wrestling is that the heel always wins the coin toss. I know WWE is trying to break it. I love it.
Nah, give the heels the chance.
Give them the edge. Yeah.
The funniest part about this is that even though they had the advantage and Conan went in there, Benoit was whipping both of them for the first minute of that
bro. That shit didn't matter at all.
Which would be a common theme.
It was that spot when he went into the match. Bagwell's holding Benoit, and when Conan comes in, Benoit just break free, he just snuffs Conan.
Beat the shit out of him. Like it was some personal type shit. Like, damn. What
like,
do you do to you?
I loved it.
So obviously in that 2 minutes, the NWO gets the advantage. They start jumping Bagwell. We get to the end of the 2 minutes. Steve McMichael comes in. People love Steve Mongo McMichael. He could not wrestle for shit. But
yo, that's there for vibes, dog. He was there for vibes.
He did everything else.
Hey, look, it takes a lot. Like I said, that's why I say he's the best Horseman, because I really feel like Steve Mongo McMichael, like I think they all said it. What you saw on television, that was
him.
Steve Mongo McMichael, you know what I mean? And,
I get it.
And well wishes to him
Absolutely.
in his current element right now, you know what I mean? So
Hall
happy
of Famer.
that that's what I'm saying. I'm so happy he is alive to see his Hall of Fame induction. But you go through, he takes down both men, the Horsemen get the advantage, Conan's in the corner, they do the spot throwing Conan and Bagwell into each other. Benoit just continues to beat the shit out of Bagwell. Time starts to wind down. The clock expires, and then kick 6. Yeah, come on, my brother Lorenzo.
Yes, sir.
Yes, but yes, McMichael was that guy. 6 comes in. 6 at this time, very controversial individual, man. Very controversial individual. 6 was actually just a few months away from getting fired from WCW, which, in a different conversation, I think was one of a pivotal moment, because 6 going back to WWF at the joint DX, I feel was a major shift in the game. You know what I mean? Very underrated aspect.
Yeah.
But culture shift, if you will.
Culture. 6 coming out, has the 6 shirt, blue jeans, the red bandana, comes in, Benoit starts beating the shit out.
He got his ass whooped too.
Oh, every time.
He got his ass whipped too.
They had the advantage, but it didn't really have the advantage.
There was no advantage.
And my man 6, like, he got tossed around more than a used cigarette. Like for a whole 2 minutes, it wasn't no offense from him.
Hey, look, at some point, I do know one of the matches I will be putting on the watch list is his match against, and I'm talking about 6, his match with Bret Hart in the summer of '94. Very, very classic match. But one thing I will always give Sean Waltman the credit for, he is one of the best sellers in the game. Like nobody, like I think like the way people talk about Dolph Ziggler, that's how I look at Sean Waltman. Like Sean Waltman knew how to took an ass whooping, right? Like I said, Benoit throws him into the cage, you know what I mean? Tony with a great call about like, you know what I mean? Like there's no escaping, like, you know what I mean? Like you gonna feel that cage. The crippler crossface gets put on, Bagwell breaks it up, NWO gets the advantage. Flair geeked up, he outside just pacing around.
And you can hear the crowd. Crowd's going crazy. To get in there.
Crowd's going crazy.
Restless.
At this point, if I'm not mistaken, Kurt Hennig makes his way down to the ring. He has the sling on his arm. You know what I mean? Like, and the commentators, the commentating team sells it like, oh man, I wish he wasn't out here.
He's so strong, like just his will, his toughness.
An excellent
fighting
point
to get in there.
Yeah.
An excellent point was made by Tony where he was like, so we don't have nobody else in the we don't have nobody else in the back.
That's why I kept saying, like, yo, WCW was in the dirt. They ain't had no camaraderie. Nobody. The Steiner brothers could have come back out here. Nobody.
Luger, Page.
I know you just wrestled, dog, but you could have came back and helped.
Could have had something, man.
They ain't learned nothing from '96.
And that's why they're in the position they were in this match. The NWO, they get the advantage. The clock hits 0. Flair comes in. Crowd goes absolutely crazy. Flair hitting the low blows, going for hitting Bagwell 6. They're doing their thing. You know what I mean? By this point in the match, the NWO is just they're getting destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, now at this point, looking at it, do you sense something is happening? Like, do you sense that something is going to take place, or do you think the way the match is going, it's like, oh, the Horsemen are finally getting their comeuppance? And that's a question for both.
So I honestly, I felt like something was happening, but I put it this way: I thought Kurt Hennig might have been faking it, but I thought he was going to help the Horsemen. And then they were finally going to get the one up on the NWO, and it'd be their time. And then because they was in Flair country and everything, they was going to have a happy little moment at the end of the night with their hands raised, and then the NWO destroyed. But that did not happen.
I had thought somebody else was like, y'all. I'm like, ain't nobody else gonna come. Like nobody else. That's what I was waiting on. Even with Kurt, I was like, damn, I know this ain't no niggas in the locker room. So that's what I was waiting on.
And like for me, I was very much like, I'm kind of like in the sense like both of you, like the way it was looking, like you could see that the Horsemen might finally get one. They're in that at this point, the whole trope of the Hometown Heroes getting destroyed, that won't really it happened, but it wasn't a thing like that, especially in WCW.
It wasn't prevalent.
It wasn't a thing. But Flair doing his thing, but then Nash comes in, big Kevin Nash.
Someone who did not take damage at all the entire match.
Not one hit.
Nobody. All he did was give out hits, bro.
And talk
shit. Politician in the skies, man. When I tell you, Kevin Nash, best sidewalk slam in the game, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
So smooth, man.
And keep in mind, this type of match, these aren't technical masterpieces. They're not designed to be. They're designed to be. It's supposed to be a fight, a straight brawl.
Chaos.
You know what I mean? So you're going to see a lot of the repetitive. You're going to see a lot of the punching, the kicking, the low blows. You know what I mean? The whole concept of WarGames is to build, it's crowd participation in a sense. You know what I mean? Because it's like the Royal Rumble. The countdown from 10 to 1 when somebody's about to enter is important. Crowds love that. and they love to see their heroes get destroyed just for another hero to come and save them. You know what I mean? I encourage everybody, in my opinion, the best WarGames match, 1992 Wrestle War. I encourage everybody to watch that. That to me is a template of a proper.
Look at my man taking notes. We love.
Come on, yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Love to see it.
I love it. I love it. Note taking, yes, sir. But we get to the last entry, Curt Hennig.
Baby.
I cannot do this justice. So here we are.
Another clip. Yes, sir. Sick.
I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna put it on.
Tony was losing his damn.
I'm gonna put it on pause real quick. Thank you. Yes, the clip. The clips will be permanent going forward. But so
as long as we don't get clipped.
Yeah. This is a real test. Yeah, but Tony Schiavone deserves an Oscar because you really would have thought like they were killing us.
Yo, dog. He said the same thing twice in two different tones.
Oh God!
First one was out of excitement. He's not hurt at all. He's so happy. He see the swinging. Then he sees the hurt on him.
What am I gonna hurt it?
He's not hurt at all.
I gotta run it.
No.
Pain, dog.
I love this.
Pain. Pain.
Oh God.
Now at this point, it is safe to assume that Curt Hennig has turned on the Horseman.
Yes, he is not on their side.
He is not on their side. You know, before we continue on, he's not hurt at all.
He's not hurt at all.
Before we continue on, I like to dig deep into like the kayfabe lore about like when did the NWO get to him? When did they talk to him? Like, has this been premeditated? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like let's just say, because he's been telling them no for like weeks that he didn't want to be part of the Four Horsemen. I feel like this might have been a trap ever since then.
Nick, boy, when I tell you I was about to say some out of pocket shit.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God. I will tell y'all off air. Please remind me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, because
buddy. I want to hear it.
But yeah, like stuff like that. I used to think like, did they talk to him on Saturday before Saturday night? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did it happen that day? I think, you know what I mean? Like little things like that just add to it. I look at like Curt Hennig turning on Flair from like a bigger standpoint, from like they were rivals in their time in WWF. Like,
right.
Like, so like I look at things like, nigga, beef don't end just because we in new promotions. Like,
my man been hating for years.
You know what I mean? And keep in mind, once again, we're in Winston-Salem, South Carolina, the heart of Horseman country. You can hear part of the crowd's excitement, and you can hear part of the crowd's sadness, dejected. Right? And this goes into the whole killing the territory, right? Killing the territory, which a lot of people said this killed WCW in South Carolina because of this was something frequent. Like,
yeah.
The Horsemen got their ass beat a lot, and the one opportunity for redemption, it's like this happens.
Gone to the wayside.
Nolo, talk to me. 9 years old. What are we thinking?
Hype. Hype. Dog, I'm trying to tell you. I told you, bro. It's NWO for life. We didn't care about no Ric Flair. We didn't care about no Arn Anderson. I hoped Arn Anderson was drinking his tears because that's what I wanted to see. I couldn't wait. I loved it. And the best part of this, we haven't even shown it yet.
Oh, yeah. We haven't even got to the best part. Another clip.
The Peru.
Hey man,
Cinema.
this is great.
Cinema.
This is great. What a great WarGames. What a
Perfect ending. Perfect ending.
The NWO.
You see what I did there? I was like,
I just got it.
I see.
Yes,
I see.
The
You,
NWO. They win this WarGames.
Second year in a row.
Second year in a row. In my opinion, the last good WarGames.
Oh, absolutely. It was the last
one. Without question. Trying to think. Leaf rating. The Nolo Green leaf rating.
There it is.
Oh, but
there it is.
You already know which one is it. I mean, I need to say it.
Nolo.
5.
5 leaves. Why 5 leaves, Nolo?
Okay. All right. We get 5 leaves because, first of all, you get one of the best heel turns ever.
Yeah.
Like you said, like this has been, like if you even go back, this has been a beef between Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, and Ric Flair for many years. Goes back to a different company.
Mm-hmm.
You had the foundation of Arn Anderson giving him his enforcer spot to Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig had been turning these people down for months or like weeks, saying, "Nah, buddy, I don't want to get it. I don't want to be in it. Don't want to do it." He was running away from the grind. He ain't want no parts of it. And then Arn had to finally twist his arm in front of the entire world. It made him do it. And then he finally got with him, only for him to turn on them in their greatest time of need. And then the leader gets his head smashed. And that's not even then the next night.
The robe.
Not had the robe and then took Mongo's belt.
Shit, he did. That's right, he did. He took the U.S. title.
Became the United States champion.
Who won that?
Kurt
Hennig.
Goddamn.
Kurt Hennig had on Ric Flair's robe for the match and then beat Mongo McMichael for the United States Championship.
That's my kind of petty. That's my kind of petty.
Nasty work.
Loved it. 9-year-old me was hyped.
Chaz, leaf rating. What are we giving it?
Nah, this is definitely one of my favorites that since I've been studying the game. Definitely, I'll give it 5 across the board for everything that we just talked about. They really try to take Flair to the gulag.
Guillotine, dog.
I mean, God damn. In his hometown.
Flair country, baby.
Flair country, that.
Somebody's gonna look at us and be like, "Oh, BGW, they're giving out 5 leaves, blah blah blah." Guess what, nigga? So am I. 5 leaves. This shit was great. Now, bell to bell, this match sucked.
Who cares?
But again,
man, we looking at the whole
right.
Did I have a great time?
That's it.
Yes,
absolutely.
Do you know why I put The Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez so high on my watch list?
Why?
Not for the match quality, because I had a great time.
It's crazy having that mindset. You're not here for that. It just allows you to enjoy it that much more when the shit gives you chaos. You know what I'm saying? If I already know I'm not getting grabs, okay, I'm cool with that. Bye-bye. That's one aspect of wrestling. It's still other pockets that I can be entertained with. So I'm totally on board with that shit.
Absolutely, man. Like that's if anyone wants to know what our criteria is in the watch list, it is, did you have a great time during this match? You know what I mean? But yes, I would give this 5 stars. I really genuinely put this as one of the best heel turns of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Not even from the standpoint it's Kurt Hennig, but it's the how it was done, where it was done. You know what I mean? The impact. Right. You know what I mean? Like in a different time frame or a different strategy, Ric Flair and Kurt Hennig in the going in from late 97 to early 98 could have been a major rivalry. If I am not mistaken, the original plan for Starrcade 97 was Ric Flair, Kurt Hennig in a steel cage match. So obviously they had the plan in place. It just didn't work out that way.
Can I ask y'all a question? Because I was doing some extra homework outside of this. Do y'all feel like his? Let me make sure I got my notes right. 1 second.
You good, brother?
Do y'all feel like the run he had with WCW outside of like this? Well, yeah, we can put that in there. But when he was able to wrestle with like some of the other big names that at the time were big in WCW, do you feel that his run kind of rivals what he did in WWF, or you still put WWF a little bit above?
You talking about Kurt, right?
Kurt, yeah.
May I go first, Nolo?
Of course.
Yes. Kurt Hennig is without a doubt one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, right? The WWF run, by the time Kurt got to WWF in 88, from the North American standpoint, Kurt was top 5.
I got you.
Like you can go back, like Kurt from 88 to 91 before the back injury, there was nobody better in the ring than Kurt Hennig. Like he was that, like legit. The gimmick Mr. Perfect fit him so perfectly.
Throwing a football and catching it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come on.
People not doing that like that these days.
They're not doing it, man. And I'm not even like the back injury obviously hindered and the time away from the ring. Like I said, in the 90s, Kurt didn't wrestle in the end of 91, 92, came back in 93, did not wrestle in 94, 95, 96, came back in 97. So from 97, and then we got 97 until he passed away in early 2003. But by this point, I will say Kurt, the way he was utilized in WCW, especially in the beginning part, didn't work.
Okay.
If that makes sense. And I think it did, and I think it didn't work just from the fact that I think there were more people I was interested in.
Right? I got you.
If we're doing like a kind of like who could have took this particular spot, and you're going in storyline, the perfect person would have been Jeff Jarrett at this time. Because like for I know Nolo remembers, but Jarrett was a Horseman in 97. That entire run was him wanting to impress Ric Flair. So Jeff Jarrett would have been a perfect person to slot in Kurt Hennig's spot, but Kurt Hennig was just a bigger name at this time than Jeff Jarrett. Right. So I think I hold his WWF run in more revere than I do the WCW run.
Okay.
But this is a moment that solidifies like Kurt. Like to me, this is Kurt Hennig's legacy in WCW.
Gotcha. And he won Intercontinental title while he was in WWF, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. 2-time.
Okay.
Nolo, dude, what's your answer to that question? That's an excellent question, brother Chaz.
Thank you.
I guess I look at his run in WCW more positively, and it also could be biased because he was in WO. So, but I liked him as the United States champion. I thought he had a good run with it when he was the US champion and put on some very good matches. Even with the limitations that he had of those injuries, I thought he still was out there working.
Right.
And still had one of the best fisherman suplexes ever.
Oh, the perfect plex, dog. Come on.
The perfect plex.
Anytime I see the fisherman suplex, I'm like, the perfect plex. Come on.
That's it. That is it. But honestly, it's like I can agree that the WWE run is better, but I guess I look at it as the WCW run as it still holds a good place in my heart.
Right. I got you.
Yeah. That's
fair enough.
As always, I ask, Nolo, you picked this match for a reason. Why? I asked you earlier why this match, but what does this particular match mean to you as a person, as a fan? What about this match just like why was this the first pick, your first pick in the watch list?
Okay, so just from a grand scheme of things, this Fall Brawl is probably my favorite WCW pay-per-view. To me, it's one of the best cards they had from top to bottom. Like it shows off the great mid card, showed off the great tag team wrestling that they had. They continued the WCW versus NWO storyline throughout the entire thing. And me being a big NWO mark at the time of 9 years old, it was one of my favorite times of the NWO getting over on WCW. And you had to top it all off with one of the best heel turns ever of Kurt Hennig turning on Ric Flair mainly, but mostly the Four Horsemen. And yeah, man, it just brings up a wonderful time in my life. 97 was great. I could have complained nothing. I could have tell you nothing was bad. I was 9.
Everything was wonderful. Everything was wonderful. You know what I mean? Like it was such a pivotal time. That's why I said like
what was it? 97's like Independence Day. Is that year? Is that
it is. It is.
There you go. See, great times, man.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Independence Day was 96. Summer Blockbuster was Men in Black. Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. He had so many back then.
Will Smith was a hit maker.
My man has the record for the most I think million box office. I think million box office. Thank you. Got 8.
Yeah, he had 8.
No one else. There's no one else but Big Willie style.
I'll tell you. Look, got to drown your sadness in your wealth sometimes.
Wow. All right. didn't see that coming.
Dang, I know. We was gonna talk about the Philly man.
Shit ain't sweet over here.
You right about that.
You already know. But yeah, that's the watch list, everybody. I
yes, sir.
I love this. I loved your pick. This was a phenomenal pick.
It was.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Obviously, some things we got to plug because BGW is back in business. This Sunday is a can't miss episode, volume 165, because we have, just to give you a sneak preview, Sexy Red NXT.
Yep.
Jordan Grace challenging for the NXT Women's title. Ethan Page debuting. Quick recap of Double or Nothing. King and Queen of the Ring, Mark Henry leaving AEW. You know what I mean? There's a lot that we can talk about. You know what I mean? That's where you'll get the current day graps. Next week,
you get to see them all be hating on me and be sad.
Yes, the continued rivalry of Nolo Green and everybody for his poor decision making.
Nolo versus everybody.
Nolo versus everybody. And yes, we will talk about Mercedes Moné, Will and Nightingale. The turn, Chris Statlander. Next week on the watch list, we are joined by the good brother Dar, and the match pick: Bret Hart, Owen Hart, SummerSlam 1994. We're in a cage. Yes.
Oh, we get back-to-back cage matches. That's
back-to-back cage matches. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So obviously, we got a lot going on. If I can quickly just do something, because I see we got a couple people in the
do your thing, brother.
You know what I mean?
You know what time it is. It's fun time.
That's right. Yes.
That's right, sir.
307 of y'all. Just sit back real quick. I know Dynamite's on. Give us a few more minutes of your time so we can get this beautiful fucking plug of merch that my man put his heart and soul through. Nikolai, take it away.
Ignore the gray line. This is a proof copy. But yes, this past Monday, on what would have been my son's 3rd birthday, my baby boy Isaiah, I released my 3rd book, Your Love is Necessary. This has been 4 years in the making. This is a lot of pain, a lot of tears were written into the structuring of this book. It was written from the time of February 2020. The last poem in the book is the poem I read at my son's funeral. So this one is very special to me. Like I said, nice hardcover. You know what I mean? It's designed to look like this. It obviously, so I think 70 poems in this altogether. but it looks like a journal, right? Yeah, this, like I said, this book means so much. Holding it in my hand earlier, man, I was shedding tears just because it's beautiful, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is no greater gift I've been able to give my son is this book right here. Like, this is for him, you know what I mean? So please go. The Amazon link is in my Twitter, but I'll happily send it to anybody who wants to get a copy. Like I said, please support. I know my brothers here have already, you know what I mean, they're getting their copies or gotten their copies. I appreciate you very dearly. I appreciate you, brothers. Yes, thank you. Look, I appreciate you, brothers, for holding me down in this time. You know what I mean? Y'all know how I get during this month. My love, I appreciate her very dearly for the holding me down. So it's just a lot of love in this book, and I'm glad to share it with the world. So please, your love is necessary. Available on Amazon. We are setting up some things to where you can get a signed copy from me at a little bit of a better price. Like I said, signed for whoever you wanted to. But yes, your love is necessary. Out now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about. You did that, my brother.
Your boy is a 3-time author.
Three times. Woo!
Yeah, man. So I appreciate you, brothers, for
Congratulations, brother.
Thank you, man.
Moment. Beautiful fucking moment. Well deserved. This is only the beginning. You know what I mean? And like you said, I won't get too deep, but you close the chapter, but the story's never finished. And never. Keep that same motivation, keep that same drive, and let your son guide your steps. And you can't lose.
Hey, look, man, my son, his spirit lives in this podcast too, man. He's the first prince of the podcast. He is the reason why we are where we are today as the Black Guy Wrestling Podcast. So unless we got anything else, I know people don't care about Dynamite. They are tapped in with us. But
if you do,
you can find me at
it's just Swerve and Kill Switch.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nobody cares about that.
Well, then never mind.
Yeah, we're good. But you can find me, PoeticScotland, on X. You can find me at Scotland_Underwood on Instagram.
You can find me at Raleoftheleaf on Twitter, Instagram. Follow 2 pod pages at bgwpod on the same 2 platforms. Also, remember to go pick up my man's book on Amazon. Do that right now. Do it anytime, all the time.
Please.
How much is the book?
$17.99.
$17.99. Y'all spend $20 on liquor, wings, fucking Black and Mild weed, whatever the fuck take you to the next moon. But stay right here on this plane. Stay right here on this.
God damn.
Some good words.
I felt that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For $18, you can go to another world in a healthy space. That's all I got to say.
I see you playing.
Stay here.
Stay here.
See.
And also, Chaz OBIG, my man Zoe, Twitter. Oh,
and of course,
one more. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Follow DMac at DMacTardy all across the platforms. But yeah, Nolo, excellent pick for the watch list. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Do we have anything else, gentlemen?
No.
Oh, you don't have to try, brother. You
did.
You are him until Sunday.
Right.
Until Sunday.
Until Sunday.
Yes.
Oh man. I had so many plans.
The plan's about to get destroyed.
Oh, don't worry. All they did was get postponed, my brother.
That's all it is, brother. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Jesus Christ.
You know what it is. But until next time, till this Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, we are out.
Peace out to my world.
And at the end of the day,
the day gotta end.
You got